So the CEO of Google DeepMind, Demis Hassabis, sees AI-designed drug trials this year. He states, "We'll hopefully have some AI-designed drugs in clinical trials by the end of the year, and that Isomorphic Labs, which is a subsidiary of Alphabet, is working on shortening the drug discovery process from a decade or more to weeks or months." He also talks about the virtual cell project in a recent interview, which we'll get into as well. Next, as I'm sure you've already heard, China's DeepSeek AI has been causing massive panic in the US tech industry after their new free and open source model R1 beats OpenAI's O1 model on benchmarks. Well, they just dropped another model called Janus Pro 7B. This one is also free and open source, and we'll take a look at how it performs compared to other models. Lastly, we have a new AI benchmark, and it is called Humanity's Last Exam. This benchmark consists of thousands of challenging questions across hundreds of subjects, and no model has yet to crack 10% on it. Also, this benchmark raises some major concerns regarding model hallucinations, which we'll address later on in the video. Alright, so Bloomberg released this article about a week ago titled DeepMind's Hassabis sees AI-designed drug trials this year. As we already talked about, he expects to hopefully have some AI-designed drugs in clinical trials by the end of the year, and that Google DeepMind's spin-off Isomorphic Labs is working on shortening the drug discovery process from decades to weeks or months. So right off the bat, definitely a very ambitious goal. They further mention, AI's ability to process huge amounts of data can potentially help speed drug development, but most major pharmaceutical companies have taken a measured approach to using the emerging technology. So essentially, a lot of these pharmaceutical companies are still hesitant to jump on board with this. Not all of them though, as it states. Even so, tech companies and pharmaceutical giants are increasingly partnering together. Last year, Isomorphic Labs announced strategic research collaboration agreements with Eli Lilly and Company and Novartis AG. Now, here is where the article takes a bit of a turn. It says, Hassabis also cautioned that AI companies were likely years away from so-called artificial general intelligence, a benchmark in which the algorithms would surpass humans on most tasks. A small handful of probably big breakthroughs are needed, he said. It might be none, it might be just scaling from here, but I suspect that there may be one or two things that are missing, which will take more of a 5-year timescale. So Hassabis is projecting AGI within the next 5 years, and this falls in line with his projection for DeepMind's virtual cell project, which is absolutely fascinating. I'll play you guys this clip where Hassabis talks about it, but just to give you a bit of context beforehand, the Nobel Prize winning AlphaFold team, so the team that worked on DeepMind's revolutionary AlphaFold, the AI program that predicted the protein structure of nearly all catalog proteins known to science, is now working on this. Take a look.
A virtual cell project is about building a simulation, an AI simulation of a full working cell. I'd probably start with something like a yeast cell because of the simplicity of the yeast organism. The reason that's important is you would be able to make hypotheses and test those hypotheses about making some change, some nutrient change, or injecting a drug into the cell, and then seeing what happens to how the cell responds. So instead of doing the search in the wet lab, which is millions of times more expensive and time consuming than the validation step, you just do the search part in silico. So it's sort of translating again what we did in the games environments, but here in the sciences and the biology. So you build a model, and then you use that to do the reasoning and the search over, and then the predictions are, at least better than, maybe they're not perfect, but they're useful enough to be useful for experimentalists to validate against. After that, of course, you still have to have clinical trials. If you're talking about a drug, you would still need to test that properly through the clinical trials and so on, and test it on humans for efficacy and so on. That I also think could be improved with AI. That whole clinical trial, that also takes many, many years. But that would be a different technology from the virtual cell. The virtual cell would be helping the discovery phase for drug discovery.
Just like I have an idea for a drug, throw it in the virtual cell,
see what it does. Yeah, and maybe eventually it's a liver cell or a brain cell or something like that. So you have different cell models, and then at least 90% of the time it's giving you back what would really happen.
That'd be incredible. How long do you think that's going to take to figure out?
I think that would be like maybe 5 years from now.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have a kind of 5-year project, and a lot of the old AlphaFold team are working on that.
So, I mean, this is pretty insane. Imagine the time that can be saved if we had literal virtual cells that we could test drugs on and know the effects almost immediately. We can take this even a little further. Imagine having a virtual copy of your specific cells that your doctor can then run tests on to find the best drug that suits you, or even have AI design a drug specifically for your cells. This is the future of medicine, personalized medical care, and it's probably closer than we think. Now, other AI companies have talked about using AI to accelerate drug discovery and scientific discovery as well, but Google DeepMind is the only company who's really accomplished anything significant in this field so far, with, of course, AlphaFold. It seems that is about to change though. As this article states, now OpenAI says it's getting into the science game too, with a model for engineering proteins. The company says it has developed a language model that dreams up proteins capable of turning regular cells into stem cells, and that it has handedly beat humans at this task. The work represents OpenAI's first model focused on biological data, and its first public claim that its models can deliver unexpected scientific results. Now, they get a little bit more into detail here. They state, OpenAI's new model called GPT-4b Micro was trained to suggest ways to re-engineer the protein factors to increase their function. According to OpenAI, researchers used the model's suggestions to change 2 of the Yamanaka factors to be more than 50 times as effective, at least according to some preliminary measures. The Yamanaka factors are 4 special genes that can turn regular, everyday cells from your body into stem cells. This model was able to re-engineer or modify these proteins to make them work better, essentially making the process of creating stem cells faster and more efficient. And as you may know, stem cells are already being used to treat diseases and various injuries. Finally, they state, how exactly the GPT-4b arrives at its guesses is still not clear, as is often the case with AI models. It's like when AlphaGo crushed the best human at Go, but it took a long time to find out why, says Betis Lacroix. We are still figuring out what it does, and we think the way we apply this is only scratching the surface. So definitely something we'll be keeping an eye on, and it'll be interesting to see if OpenAI ever releases or open sources this model like Google did with AlphaFold. Now, let's talk about DeepSeek AI. While everyone is freaking out about their new R1 model, they remain hard at work and release yet another impressive model, Janus Pro 7b. So this is a very small model, 7 billion parameters. It's also multimodal and seems to be state-of-the-art, at least for its size. As you can see on the left here, its average performance on 4 multimodal understanding benchmarks is better than models like Lava 1.57b and Emu 3 Chat. And its performance on instruction following benchmarks for text-to-image generation, so basically how accurate it depicts the text prompt, is also state-of-the-art, notably surpassing OpenAI's DALL-E 3. Now, to be fair, there are better image generation models out there than OpenAI's DALL-E 3, like Flux and Ideogram for example, but these models are likely much bigger, and I mean DALL-E 3 is still relatively on par with them. Here are some examples of the images it can generate compared to its predecessor model Janus. As you can see, it's definitely a major upgrade. While they don't provide many examples, based on the ones they do have, it seems quite good. Now, this wasn't the only DeepSeek development we've gotten since the release of R1. In fact, the R1 model just made itself 2 times faster. By the way, shout out to Matthew Berman for this post. He states, DeepSeek R1 just got a 2x speed boost. The crazy part, the code for the boost was written by R1 itself. Self-improving AI is here. Now, there's a lot of technical terms in here, but the important part is this paragraph. It states, surprisingly, 99% of the code in this pull request is written by DeepSeek R1. The only thing I do is develop tests and write prompts with some trails and errors. So this programmer essentially used DeepSeek R1 itself to write code to make DeepSeek R1 run faster. A clear example of self-improving AI, as Matthew Berman stated. This is why AGI is so important, because once a model is better than humans at most things, then it is also better than humans at creating AI itself. And once that happens, which you can argue it already has, things start to get really crazy. This is the moment that ex-OpenAI researcher Leopold Aschenbrenner claims will kick off the intelligence explosion, or the singularity, where machine intelligence quickly surpasses human intelligence and continues to exponentially accelerate. This is why the AI race between China and the US, and really every other major world superpower, is so significant. The leading American AI companies like OpenAI are well aware of this, and have been hounding the US government for a while now to take this race seriously. And well, it seems like they finally did. President Trump recently announced Project Stargate, a $500 billion investment into AI infrastructure in the United States. Some of the major backers of this project include SoftBank, Oracle, and OpenAI. Now, I already made an entire video covering this. I'll pop that up on screen for anyone who's interested, so I won't be going into too much detail here, but essentially, as OpenAI states, the Stargate project is a new company which intends to invest $500 billion over the next 4 years, building new AI infrastructure for OpenAI in the United States. This infrastructure will secure American leadership in AI, create hundreds of thousands of American jobs, and generate massive economic benefit for the entire world. And they end the announcement saying, all of us look forward to continuing to build and develop AI, and in particular AGI, for the benefit of all of humanity. We believe that this new step is critical on the path and will enable creative people to figure out how to use AI to elevate humanity. So this is easily the largest and most significant infrastructure build-out of the century. As OpenAI researcher Noam Brown states, this is on the scale of the Apollo program and Manhattan Project when measured as a fraction of GDP. This kind of investment only happens when the science is carefully vetted and people believe it will succeed and be completely transformative. I agree it's the right time. So again, check out the video I made covering this if you want to learn more, but this is definitely something we're going to be talking about a lot moving forward. Speaking of OpenAI and the AI race going on right now with China and their new DeepSeek R1 model, Sam Altman actually responded. He stated, DeepSeek's R1 is an impressive model, particularly around what they're able to deliver for the price. We will obviously deliver much better models, and also it's legit invigorating to have a new competitor. We will pull up some releases. So DeepSeek is definitely putting some pressure on OpenAI. Also, he followed up the tweet saying, looking forward to bringing you all AGI and beyond. I'm wondering what that beyond part is. Now, as he mentioned, they will obviously be delivering much better models. So far, they've announced O3, which demolished benchmarks, and we know is coming soon, but according to OpenAI's CPO Kevin Weil, they are actually already working on the next iteration of the O model series, O4. Take a look.
We have gone from O1 to O3 in about 3 months. So the iteration cycle is compressing, and we're already training the model that comes after O3. It looks like we're going to see another big jump in capabilities. So the reason we're super excited about this is the models are getting really smart really quickly. The first version of these models was like the millionth best coder or something like that, which it's not bad. You're still top 2 or 3% in the world, but the second version, when we actually announced, or when we launched the sort of full first version of this new model, O1, it was like the 1,000th best engineer in the world, or software engineer at these competitive coding problems. O3 will be the 175th best engineer in the world. And that's, again, we're talking like 3, 4, 5 months between these things. You've gone from a millionth to 175th. So you can imagine where it goes in the future as we continue to see meaningful steps up.
So it is clear that this new scaling paradigm of test time compute, which OpenAI's O model series is based off, is moving a lot quicker than people may have expected, and we will likely be getting new models every couple of months now, instead of every year or so. Altman also mentioned in a previous post that O3 Mini is coming to the free tier of ChatGPT. I believe we will see O3 Mini within the next couple of weeks, which considering we got O1 literally last month is kind of insane. It'll be interesting to see though how much better it actually is compared to O1 or even GPT-4o, which is the best you can get right now if you're a free user. Another area that China is quietly progressing in extremely quickly is robotics. They have recently opened up their first humanoid training base, established by the National Humanoid Robots Innovation Center. This training base will be used to collect data at scale by having many different humanoids perform various tasks. They now have 100 robots from over 10 different companies and plan to scale this to 1,000 robots by 2027. So this is an area where China already has a massive advantage due to their manufacturing capabilities, but the AI that powers these robots is definitely the most important thing. Also, a Chinese company made this robotic dog capable of sprinting 100 meters in under 10 seconds. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that Black Mirror episode. If you have, you probably know what I'm talking about. That show is basically a reality at this point. It's kind of insane. Anyways, in other AI news, AI agents are dropping left and right. First, we had OpenAI's Operator, and now we have ByteDance's UI TARS. In this demo, you can see it performing a simple task, changing the background color of the second slide of the presentation to the same color as the first slide. While not that complex, what we are seeing with agents right now is the very early stages. They are only going to get better over time. Now, Perplexity, who we haven't heard much from lately, also jumped into the agent game, introducing Perplexity Assistant. They state, Assistant uses reasoning, search, and apps to help with daily tasks ranging from simple questions to multi-app actions. You can book dinner, find a forgotten song, call a ride, draft emails, set reminders, and more. So this is kind of similar to like Apple Intelligence or Advanced Siri. It seems to be more of an assistant, hence the name, rather than a true AI agent that is meant to automate complete tasks. Who knows where they'll take this though in the future. Now, before we get into the new AI benchmark, there was this insane research paper from Sakana.ai called Transformer Squared. Basically, what they've created here is an AI model that dynamically adjusts its weights based on the task at hand. As they state here, this vision of self-adaptive AI is at the heart of our latest research paper, Transformer Squared, where we propose a machine learning system that dynamically adjusts its weights for various tasks. The name Transformer Squared reflects its two-step process. First, the model analyzes the incoming task to understand its requirements, and then it applies task-specific adaptations to generate optimal results. By selectively adjusting critical components of the model weights, our framework allows LLMs to dynamically adapt to new tasks in real time. Transformer Squared demonstrates significant advancements across various tasks, e.g. math, coding, reasoning, and visual understanding, outperforming traditional static approaches like LoRa in efficiency and task-specific performance, while requiring far fewer parameters. Here are the results. Honestly, not that impressive. It is only slightly increasing performance across a few benchmarks, like the GSM 8K and the ARC Easy. But what's more impressive about this model is its ability to dynamically adjust to the task at hand. Eventually, if they can improve this method, it would make AI models much more efficient. Also, I'll be doing a full deep dive into this paper on my Patreon, so definitely check it out if you're interested. Link will be in the description. Finally, we have a new AI benchmark that hopes to be one of the last tests we need. They state, benchmarks are important tools for tracking the rapid advancements in large language model LLM capabilities. However, benchmarks are not keeping pace in difficulty. LLMs now achieve over 90% accuracy on popular benchmarks like MMLU, limiting informed measurement of state-of-the-art LLM capabilities. In response, we introduced Humanity's Last Exam, a multimodal benchmark at the frontier of human knowledge designed to be the final closed-ended academic benchmark of its kind with broad subject coverage. The dataset consists of 3,000 challenging questions across over 100 subjects. We publicly released these questions while maintaining a private test set of held-out questions to assess model overfitting. Now, what I found particularly interesting here is not only the extremely low scores of the models, but also that they had to add a calibration error score. It states, given low performance on Humanity's Last Exam, models should be calibrated, recognizing their uncertainty rather than confidently providing incorrect answers, indicative of confabulation/hallucination. To measure calibration, we prompt models to provide both an answer and their confidence from 0% to 100%. Just looking at the calibration error scores here, they are extremely high, meaning these models often overestimate their abilities and confidently give incorrect answers. The model that is most reliable is DeepSeek R1 by a significant margin, and the least reliable is Gemini Thinking. But it's clear that all these models still regularly hallucinate. Finally, they state, while current LLMs achieve very low accuracy on Humanity's Last Exam, recent history shows benchmarks are quickly saturated, with models dramatically progressing from near zero to near perfect performance in a short time frame. Given the rapid pace of AI development, it is possible that models could exceed 50% accuracy on HLE by the end of 2025. High accuracy on HLE would demonstrate expert-level performance on close-ended, verifiable questions and cutting-edge scientific knowledge, but it would not alone suggest autonomous research capabilities or artificial general intelligence. So I think they are probably right about this benchmark being quickly saturated. They predict 50% by the end of 2025, and I can honestly see that happening. Let me know what your predictions are for this benchmark in the comments. Before we end the video, there was one more piece of news I forgot to mention. Anthropic is planning to release a two-way voice mode for Claude. So while this is nothing new, I mean we already have ChatGPT's advanced voice mode, if you're someone who prefers using Claude's models, this is definitely good news. Anyways, that is all the AI news for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to leave a like. And as always, if you want to stay up to date on future AI news just like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button.